Hello, everyone. It is your boy Hunt, back with another episode of Tabletop Recap. We decided to do this episode for several reasons. One, we wanted to break up the Descent into Avernus episodes. We've had so many just in a straight row, so we really wanted to do something else. And two, we did this session like 4 or 5 months ago, and we just really needed to get it up because Kami and Karen didn't want us to do it without them, but they're kind of going back to school and all this stuff, and they've kind of stopped their D&D thing indefinitely, and it might pick back up after they have finished with their school because they're going for a new degree, one of which I believe is medical, so it'll take a long time. So we were like, all right, well, we'll just go ahead and get this episode live, even though it's been 6 or 7 months since the last Karen's campaign episode.
It was mid-September of 2020.
That's when we had the last session, but that's not when the last episode was. The last episode was, I actually think I have it up right here in my Anchor tab.
Oh, yeah, on the podcast.
Yeah, the last episode of this was on June 27th, 2020.
That
was the last Karen's D&D campaign episode.
More like 9 months.
It's long. June is the 6th month of 2020, right?
Okay, yeah. Sorry. It's not good for 2021 when the first week feels like a couple months.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, it's the 9th when we're recording this in 2021. It won't be up till much later. But, yeah, so this is part 3 of Karen's D&D campaign. If you don't remember the previous stuff that happened, basically... we all kind of met up in the woods because we were all pursuing sort of a similar thing. We fought a necromancer and all his undead dogs, and we found a bunch of evidence about who his boss was and stuff. We took it to the Lord of the Fife, and it turns out he was kind of smashing the BBEG. So we got in some trouble. The BBEG was like, I'll let you guys live if you do a favor for me.
And then I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, and the rest of us were like, okay, she wants us to kill this woman, who we did not know at the time was the lady of the land because we were too stupid to roll insight.
I just didn't care.
Your character was like, I'll kill her. I don't care. And so our plan was to use the paralysis potion you had on her and then be like, okay, we got the dead body, we're going to dispose of it, but she'd be just paralyzed and we'd actually get her out of there to safety. Your character switched it with poison, and you killed her, and then you ran off before we realized it, and then my character could actually cure poisoning, but didn't do it because she was mean to him, and he doesn't care that much about people anymore.
So who's the real evil character here?
You.
Yeah,
absolutely you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not me. So yeah, and then we did that, and then we were like, and then she betrayed you. She was like, yeah, I'm not giving you any reward, and I'm not doing anything. If you ever come back to my Fife, I'll kill you. And so we were like, then there was kind of an argument, because my character is true neutral, and then Kami's character...
is chaotic good.
Chaotic good, and yours lawful evil?
Yes.
So I was kind of the middle ground. Like, I basically kind of just kept you two from killing each other. Or more like kept him from killing you.
Yeah.
So he was going to kill you. And in fact, Kami for a while was like, I think I need to make a new character because I don't think Carrick will stay with the party with him in it. And I was like, you don't have to make a new character because if Carrick leaves, then my character's going to go with you. He's not going to stay with the one who betrayed us. So... But yeah, that's basically what happened. And now we're on the way to a new Fife, the one that my character is actually from.
It's full of animalistic humanoids.
Yeah, it's the Fife with animal people. So, like, what are the elephants called?
Oh, goodness. If you didn't ask me, I could have just told you. They're, not mastodons.
Does it start with an L or something? I don't know.
Either L or a P.
Whatever. Yeah, it's got, like, all the lizard folk, which is what my character is, and then the elephant people, and it's got the tabaxi, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's kind of us headed to that Fife is where we're beginning, but usually the DM would start on these episodes, but our DM, Karen, is not here, and Kami is not here either. It's just us, so...
And we will be as respectful and honest as we can about the events as they occur. We will not be embellishing.
Yeah. There's a lot of Well, I don't mind exaggerating a little bit for entertainment, to be completely honest. But there's not going to be as much context for this as it usually is our D&D Storytime episodes because we don't have the DM with us. So they can't give us like specific names of fights and culture information. But I feel like we both remember this session actually pretty well.
Yeah, it was pretty vivid, albeit a uneventful campaign or episode.
Yeah, we didn't record it because I was feeling bad and they were tired, so we just didn't record the episode, and then we haven't seen them since, so we're doing it now. But yeah, so we usually don't need to roll, and even if we do, we defer to the DM, but since there's no DM today, we're just going to roll.
9.
8. Ooh. So you get to go first, bud.
Okay, so the session, as I remember it, ended with a very awkward walk in the woods.
Yeah, like you had to walk far behind us because Carrick was so mad at you. Oh, by the way, we should give a recap of the characters.
Oh, yeah, so...
Tell us yours.
So, my character, Tywin DeChamp, is a warlock of the Fiend, lawful evil half-elf. He, not going too much into the backstory, because that's not super important to the campaign setting at the moment. He was thrown in prison at a very young age for a crime that he was basically kind of thrown under the bus for. And he made a pact with a rather evil being. This has led him to the campaign as it is now, and he has had no qualms doing evil things so long as they're not too outlandish or putting himself in danger. As he's just proven, he will plunge a country into civil war and does not care about the repercussions. Then you have Kami's character, Carrick?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's Carrick Attaway, half-elf bard. Very fun character. Does not super like killing unless it's in like self-defense or is someone like evil, which is why he was mad at you. He's very fun. He easily did the most damage out of all of us. Yeah, he was definitely our heavy hitter. And then you have my character, Kabuto D-End. Once again, 2 common writer names to make my D&D name, which I almost always do. So I have him, and he is true neutral bounty hunter mercenary ex-paladin, right? Mm-hmm. And he almost never uses magic around anyone. That's one of his things. He used to worship a good god, got disillusioned. Now he worships a neutral god, simply because he's like, at least the neutral gods are honest, man. So, which is his thing. So he worships Midgard, which is this rainbow dragon that sleeps at the center of the world, and he just doesn't do anything. But when he wakes up, I think the world's supposed to end or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like Mercule in D&D. He's basically one of the Yuan-Ti gods, and he basically just sleeps for eternity and grants boons to whoever happens to pray to him.
Or that Lovecraft space eyeball that when it opens, the universe ends or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't grant no boons. Everyone just tries. There's literally like 9 space ghosts who play lullabies hoping that he'll just stay asleep.
So yeah, my guy gets his powers from Midgard, but he doesn't use them, is the thing. He never uses magic because he doesn't like to. So very rare circumstances that he uses magic, which is another one of the reasons he didn't heal the poisoned lady of the land. So... yeah, we're just kind of walking, and then we come across these like bandits attacking this caravan.
Yeah.
Which was some fun fighting. I remember I went up to one bandit who was like dragging a lady, and I was like, if you got a god, you should pray to him now, but I promise you it won't matter. Because my guy's like very disillusioned with the good gods, specifically. He understands the evil and neutral ones more, because he's like, the evil ones are evil, and they know we know it, and it's like, they're evil. They'll still try to trick you, but they know what they're about. And the neutral gods are honest, and then he's got a whole story about the good gods. But yeah, so I did that, and then you guys were fighting all different sorts of ones.
Yeah, Carrick and Tywin basically, there's a single column of these like carriages and wagons that are hauling civilians, and so he took like the left side and I took the right side, and it was almost like an action movie scene where the two of the characters just go down this aisle and they're murking bad guys as they walk down.
Yeah, like one of the hallway fights in any Netflix Marvel show.
Yeah. And my guy's just like eldritch blasting people like it's a a Western
Like he's
pistol.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and Carrick's character is sicking his dog and using his bard-like powers.
That's right. He does have a dog. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot he had a dog. Yeah, his character has a dog.
Yeah, you gotta remember, because your like personal side quest is to one day eat that dog once it dies.
Well, my thing I was trying to... I feel like I can talk more about my character openly because I feel like we're never going to resume this campaign. And if we do, it'll be forever from now. But here's what I was trying to go for with it. Like, he wants to eat the dog. My guy wants to eat the dog. And he's, like, tried to pay him for it and stuff. And he's like, I'll pay you for your dog just because he's going to eat it. And I think that Carrick kind of knows he wants to eat it. But here's the thing. If the dog ever died in combat, like, a few levels later, once I'd kind of gotten to know Carrick more and stuff, my guy would offer to take the dog to the woods and would actually bury it, like he wouldn't eat it.
Aww.
Yeah, that was going to be a development thing that I worked on, and now it's probably not going to happen, but it's fine.
Yeah, I tried having. I feel like this session was one of the better ones for me because it really allowed me to practice some actual role play, not just move with scenarios.
Yeah, sorry about those dogs if you can hear them. The neighbors' dogs are loud babies right now. But they're Fresh Angels also.
So yeah, Carrick, we were blowing away bandits, and Carrick actually took a little bit of a wound. And after you dealt with your combat, you actually used a little bit of healing magic on him.
Yeah, so the reason I healed him was because I rolled an @1 and hit him. And my character was like, I did that. I have to heal it. So I just laid my hand on him, and he felt himself get healed. And he was like, looked over at me like, what? Because he'd never seen me use magic. He never heard me talk about magic. He did not know I had magic.
And with my character be on the opposite end of the wagon caravan, I never saw any of this. So he's still ignorant to your ability to use magic.
Yeah, and later around the campfire, he was like, thank you for that. Why didn't you tell? Why didn't you reveal you could use magic? And he was like, I did. I used it on you. That's the reveal. He's like, why didn't you tell us you use magic? And he was like, you guys didn't tell me you had magic when we met. I saw it when you used it, and then you saw it when I used it. Because my guy's very like that. He's one of those guys because he's so neutral and emotionless. He's like, he's just like efficient and literal. Very lizard folky for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy playing him.
And yeah, so we beat the bandits,
and then there's Dade, who was
before we get to him, he
was in the fight.
What's your definition of in the fight?
He took the bandit leader down several hit points. He was fighting a whole bandit troop by himself, so
yeah,
you got to give him a little credit for that. He's a jerk and a weeaboo.
Yes. Yeah, Dade is now like my own self-declared rival.
He's an Archie. He's your rival for like no reason.
I just don't like him.
Yeah, because then the caravan offered us a ride where we got some lore. It turns out there's going to be a war between two fiefdoms. One that you started.
Yeah, actually, I was awarded a fate point for that because before we talked to Dade, we were talking to the head of the caravan, and it turns out that this caravan is hauling like an entire clan of human and dwarf family members. And we asked him, like, where all y'all going? He says, we're getting out of Dodge because there's a civil war brewing and we don't want to be caught in the crossfires.
Well, it's not exactly a civil war because it's between two different.
Well, he said there was going to be a war between the kingdom we were just leaving and one of the other neighboring kingdoms. And my character goes, war, you say?
Yeah, because you're a very profit-minded dude. You learn a lot of scams.
My character has the charlatan background, and he's basically a snake oil salesman.
Yeah, he's got lots of just colored water that he sells as potions and stuff. Pretty fun. But you did get a fate point for that just because it made everyone laugh pretty hard. And he told us, he was like, oh, the lady was assassinated by someone from the other fiefdom. And we're all sitting there knowing that you intentionally killed her and started this war, you little turd.
I'm like Plankton from that episode of SpongeBob with the fry cook games where he and Mr. Krabs are going back and forth. And eventually they break out into song and Plankton just blows on a tuba on a sour note, ruins the whole thing and says, I love messing things up. Yeah, that's me.
Sorry. Anyways, Yeah, so we listen to that tell, and they kind of tell us, they're like, we're already poor, man, and if we're in a place where war's going on, we're going to lose everything, so we're out of here. And they hired this guy named Dade with what little gold they had to be their defender, and he dresses... He's a weeaboo, right?
Okay, so first thing first, he's an elf.
Yeah.
Not that his race plays any part of it, but in addition to this,
in D&D, like, it's important to know the race because that gives them abilities in combat that people would want to know about.
But he wears a flowered kimono. He carries a katana sword.
He's got the little sandals with the two lips.
Little clip-clop Samurai Jack sandals, and he just has this big weeaboo, I'm stronger than you attitude, and I just immediately dislike him.
You know how those fedora weeaboo guys are? I mean, that's probably our main audience.
That's all he's missing is a fedora.
Yeah, that's probably our main audience, so we probably shouldn't be talking crap. But at the same time, we like anime too. But at the same time, he was always like, yeah, I know the way of the sword. I taught myself. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what some neckbeard would say.
And the whole time I'm just sitting there like, I'm going to kill him. Don't you dare.
She put him there to aggravate us, man.
And I will say this. I use the opportunity to practice some roleplay because I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, family of poor peasants, random warrior boasting, and he seems to be the only one who has any form of wealth or luxury on him. This guy's a con artist.
Yeah, so...
And so my character immediately... starts like trying to butter Dade up. He's like, oh, are you the great and powerful Dade? I've heard stories about you. Oh, may I kiss your feet? And Dade is like just eating it up. I'm inflating his ego so that I can try and like rip him off and get money. But turns out he's poor, just like everybody else in this caravan.
It's like, oh, I spent the gold already.
Yeah.
You were like, I'll give you a great deal on these potions.
I scored really high on my persuasion checks because I was like saying, oh, you won't need swords with potions like these. They can make your hands move as fast as lightning, increase your strength, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, I couldn't possibly part with any of my money.
Right. I remember now. You tried to take his sword from him.
Yeah, so I tried conning his sword off him, but I couldn't do it because even though I did like score high, it wasn't high enough to take the sword from him. And
I mean, it's his livelihood.
Yeah, and then like when we got back, because you two were inside the wagon that I was talking to Dade outside of, so you guys heard this whole conversation. And Carrick is like, "Well, did you have an eventful conversation?" And I said, "Not in the least."
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. That was fun. My guy kind of just chills a lot. Like my guy kind of sits. Kabuto kind of like sits in silence a lot. But then, usually when you and Kami's character start arguing, he literally shoves you both apart and is like, "All right, here's why you're both wrong." It's like my lizard folk and his two half-elf children. That's seriously what it's like, and I do kind of miss that dynamic. One day, hopefully, we pick this back up.
I do too. This is a fun group dynamic. I really do hope we get to continue it later on.
Yeah, if we do pick it up way down the line, I'll edit these first 3 together so that people can easily recap without having to scroll back forever, you know? But...
Then we had an evening with the farmer's family.
Yeah, a little camp out session. You kind of revealed some things.
Or did I?
Sort of, yeah, to the family, not us. We couldn't hear you, which is why we couldn't ask you any further questions.
Yeah. Carrick did try. I don't remember what the check was, but he was like, is there any way that I can overhear this? And Karen was like, make a check. And he's like, no, I rolled poorly. So it's like, no, you don't hear any of this. He's going to continue being a secretive little charlatan.
Yeah, you were talking to the family about how, like, you'd been in a similar situation to them and wanted to give them advice and help them and stuff. I still don't know your character's full deal, which I shouldn't, you know, especially if we're going to pick this back up, which I think we will one day, just probably not soon. We'll pick it back up.
I love Carrick too much. I'm going to hold on to his character sheet for as long as I can.
Yeah. But
not Carrick, Tywin. Tywin's my character.
Yeah, Carrick's Kami's. So we kind of camped with them, and that was the major thing that happened. Was you had that with them, and we like learned their family. And we're like, oh, we've been married for years and stuff. Blah blah blah. Details that don't really matter, but are fun for role play. You know, like you don't want to hear their family history. I'm sure. Not that I remember it, but yeah, we did all that, and then they kind of took us to the point where they were going to drop us off because they were technically going to a different place than us. We enter the fiefdom with all the animal people. I mean, there's no. I almost said normal people, and I was like, "That's racist against tabaxi and lizard folk."
And everyone who's not human or humanoid. But one thing we should probably clarify is that the reason for us tagging along for this next section is we had a couple of quest options. The first night we left the town where Tywin killed the matriarch, or the lady of the land. We discovered a book that had some information about a lost city.
We'd had that on us since the...
Since we killed the necromancer, wasn't it?
Yeah, since we killed the necromancer. It was in his little library.
And then we also had another quest where we could go and find/hunt some kind of enormous beast. And that was what you were really interested in, and we decided to follow that storyline.
Yeah, well, to be honest, my guy's kind of group leader.
No, you won't.
Yeah. Just because he's the neutral one. He wouldn't be if he wasn't neutral.
Yeah. Tywin is along with the group because he realizes that having friends is more beneficial than being on your own, whether for money-making purposes, scapegoat purposes, or just having someone watch your back. It's beneficial to have numbers than be alone. So.
Yeah, it's a good group dynamic because my guy's kind of the decision plan maker. He kind of keeps the group together. And then Carrick is the voice of the party. He does most of the talking, you know? Mm-hmm. And he also is the heaviest hitter. And then there's you, who's the one who's willing to do things that the rest of us are not. Mm-hmm. So you're willing to get your hands dirty so that, like, we don't have to.
Yeah.
Which it's very interesting. I really hope we can do it more. I keep saying that. We should continue with the story. But yeah, when I ate that pig in the middle of the street and people were watching me, they were talking about, is this the giant lizard from so-and-so, blah, 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 that does the thing? And
is this the giant lizard from blah, blah, blah that does the thing? What a riveting title.
Yeah, that's the title of my memoir.
Published by Mark Twain, the giant lizard from blah, blah, blah that does the thing.
Yeah, there's like a lizard. I don't remember all the names of everything. That's what the DM is supposed to be.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't remember the names of the countries, cities, or fiefs either. I'd have to go back and watch all the podcasts. I can identify them. Like if you showed me the wonderful hand-drawn map that Karen had, I could show you exactly where everything was, but I can't remember the names to save my life.
Yeah, so we're looking for this big lizard thing because, my guy has some motivation for that.
And then we start making our way into the country where the animal humanoids are the dominant population. And you actually had we had a funny roleplay moment because with
the elephant guy? What are they called?
I'm gonna
Google it while I tell the story. So we need directions, right? We're looking for the big lizard, and so my character Kabuto goes up to one of the elephant people whose names I can't remember. He's looking it up right now, but so I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey, where's the big lizard?" Because my guy's bad with words. He very much is bad with words.
Yeah, and
you're too far from the mic, my friend.
So hold on, elephant.
Yeah, so he and the elephant man is like, "Oh, look at you, just a simple little lizard folk," and he like pats me on the head with his trunk and walks away, and I'm like,
"Well, the first thing, if I remember correctly, you said, 'Hey, you, where's the big lizard?'"
Exactly,
and the elephant looked at you. And he looked at us, and he said, "Well, you're a mighty big lizard." he said, "No, not me, the giant lizard." And he looked back at us, and he said, "Do you guys know this guy?" And I'm trying to remember exactly what I said. I said some snide remark like, "Well, we claim him, but we don't, claim ownership." The Loxodons.
Loxodons. I thought it started with an L.
Loxodons is the name of the elephant humanoid race. I know them from Magic the Gathering, but they've become
I think
more
they're
popular.
playable in the Ravnica.
They are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically this Loxodon was looking at you like you were some kind of...
Moron.
Yeah, just crazy person. And then
I don't blame... Like, it kind of makes sense that the Loxodons kind of look down on the lizard folk a bit. That makes complete sense to me.
Well, if you've seen how big they are, they look down on a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they're a bit more fancy.
Well, elephants...
I ate a live pig in the street, so...
Loxodons, because they're part elephant, you know, they're also more intelligent than your average animal, so naturally they're going to have higher intelligences than a lizard person, I guess. Where lizards, I guess, are more instinctual based. Elephants would have better memories and therefore need more intellect.
Yeah, intelligence is my guy's lowest stat, but instead of playing it up like he's stupid, I play it up like he doesn't understand the cultures around him. So that makes him like appear stupid, but it's actually just a complete misunderstanding of things, because I didn't want him to be like a moron, you know? But yeah, Loxodon doesn't give us any information, so we go to an inn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we ask the innkeeper, and I think he tells us. And we have to go to this like swamp area.
Yeah, and he says that you must be talking about the Red King or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the Red King.
And so yeah, you say, yes, where is the Red King beast? And he says, oh, it's over in this area, and it's apparently a swamp nation.
It's like little hillbillies.
Oh gosh, yeah. If you
Weeaboos and hillbillies in the same session. My lord.
it sounds like the Republican ballot.
And you usually vote Republican, so... Well, you used to?
Well,
let's leave it.
I'm not going to worry about that. Let's just say that I don't like politics or most politicians.
Who does? But, those dogs, I hope they don't appear on the podcast. But so we go to the swamp place, and they point us to the person who kind of like owns most of the boats in town. He basically has a boat rental business, and he takes people out. And Karen played these like hillbilly half-orc people so well. It was insane how well she did this.
She gave him like Louisiana accents. And when I first heard her role playing them, the first thing I immediately thought of was the episode of Samurai Jack where he meets the Scotsman for the first time, and they're constantly being hunted by these hillbilly bounty hunters, and they don't even talk; they just speak gibberish
on the bridge.
Yeah,
that is like my favorite episode.
It's mine too. I love the Scotsman, but I kind of like the hillbilly hog bounty hunter who just shoots his shotgun randomly and speaks incoherent babble.
And the tension of being on that little... We're getting way off topic here, but... That would be a great TTRPG world, by the way. But, so we go there, and he's like they have a ton of kids and all this stuff. And they were really funny, but also really rich characters.
Tywin is not squeamish about the area, but he would rather not be there because of how dirty it is. He's constantly using prestidigitation to clean mud and blood off of his robe, just from walking in the street.
And my guy was born in the swamp. He's fine. He spent the first couple years of his life in the swamp before he was taken away. Hint at backstory right there. Mm-hmm. But, so my guy's fine, and then Carrick's a farm boy who's always covered in dirt anyway, so he's also fine. But we go to them, and they're like, we can't do anything right now because one of our boats was stolen by our daughter's like ex-fiance. And they're like, if you get our boat back, we'll take you wherever you want, because they had like a high price, and my guy was willing to pay it. I was like, all right, here it is. Because my guy has a ton of gold.
My guy, being the charlatan that he is, tried to either get it for free or for a reduced price, and I rolled like a crit fail. The guy saw right through me and said, you're one of them charlatans.
Yeah, I'm a lizard folk, so I just do things. I don't, like, haggling's not my guy's strong suit. He's more of an intimidation dude, but he didn't want to get on the bad side of the one person who could take him there. So he gave him the gold, and then he was like, what about you two? And he meant per person, not per boat. And you guys were like, we just don't have it. And my guy had enough for one more of you, but he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to pay it. So they were like, okay, well, year two's cost can be covered by getting the boat back. Getting the boat back was my favorite part of the session. It was so much fun.
It's a good thing we didn't fight with this guy who was giving us the quest to get his boat, because the person who ferried us over there was his wife, and I think she was like bigger than he was.
She's like a half-orc bodybuilder woman. Oh!
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember exactly what was said, but she was describing like how the boat looked and what to expect, and I said some comment about her physique.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were rowing in the boat, and she was telling us you have to stay out of the water. You have to do all these things because and you were like, is it because of gators? And she was like, no, it's because of catfish. They ate all the gators. And we were like, oh, Christ.
Big old catfish.
Huge kaiju catfish. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah,
we're from the South, so the catfish thing, we thought that was cool.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of like any kind of marine life documentaries and stuff. Like I've seen every episode of River Monsters.
You love River Monsters. You made a homebrew world based on River Monsters.
Yeah, it was pretty. Not finished with that. I'm still working on that still, but we'll do that
I mean, we
later.
got a lot of pre-written stuff to get through. So, But yeah, and then you made some comment about. She was talking about her family, and you made some comment. What was the comment?
I think.
It was about her arms.
I think what was happening was she said, "Be on the lookout for the boat." And Carrick asked, how will we recognize the boat when we see it? She said, it'll look just like this one. And I said, does it have a giant pair of arms attached to it too?
And, dude, okay, so my guy's kind of gotten in the habit of, like, physically hitting you and stuff when you're a jerk to people. So you said that, and I shoved you out of the boat.
Into the giant kaiju catfish-ridden waters.
And then I didn't get in trouble for shoving you out of the boat. The woman got after you for being in the water, which was deserved,
yes,
of course.
Yes.
It was deserved.
Very much I was rude.
Yeah, a little piggy. So you got back in the boat and you pressed digitation the water off you, I believe. And then we get there and we kind of, we're back a little bit. And we kind of see the ex-fiancé and his paw sitting on their dock with the boat attached to it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm going in. And I slip in the water because lizard folk, great swimmers.
Did Carrick cast any kind of like cover spells for you, like fog or something like that?
I don't think I had any cover spells. I think I was just stealthing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just stealthing. And... he, I think, used something to make his voice louder, or you did something to make his voice louder?
No, because I remember I had Eldritch Blast held in case things really went south.
And he was trying to negotiate for the boat, which kind of ended up in an argument. So he's like shouting at them from their boat, and he's like, we just want the boat back, we're here to negotiate. And they won't have it because they're angry hillbillies. And my guy is like looking like a gator. You know, gators have just their eyes and snout above the water. My guy's doing that next to their dock. And then the battle ensues eventually, and my guy pops out of the water.
No, hold on.
No, there's a lot that led up to that.
So I think I remember this part correctly. What Matthew does, or what I'm whatever.
Right, he cast that.
He cast a hideous laughter spell. Basically, he made the ex-fiance's father just bust out laughing like uncontrollably. You then...
and then I had my great plan.
Yeah, you then shoved the father into the water and then loosed the boat cable.
Yeah,
and
this is how it went down. So I popped up and I said, save the boat or save your father. So I threw the father in the water because he can't hold his breath or swim or anything because he's like crippled over laughing, right?
Yeah.
So he's taking on water lung-wise. And I do that, and the guy kind of reacts to me popping up by hitting me with the axe. I took some damage, not a big deal. I have a very high armor class, and so I put the rope to the boat in my mouth, and I swim back to our boat, and he does have to he disengaged to save his dad, and we exit.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of that plan to this day. I think I did pretty good.
Oh yeah, we got out of there almost scot-free. Pretty much scot-free.
I think I was the only one that even took damage in our party.
We got back to the guy who gave us the quest to get the boat, and he agreed to ferry us to the Red King's lair. I think is what happened next. I remember because we had that big fight with a river monster.
Yeah, he was taking us, and there was kind of some stuff going on. He was telling us more lore about the catfish, like they were normal-sized catfish, but they just kept getting bigger. And they usually aren't a problem unless there's something big going on, because they're bottom feeders, so they're always at the very bottom of the swamp, and they aren't really a problem.
Which I like the attention to detail, because that is actually true about both alligators and catfish, is they will continue to get bigger over the course of their lives. For whatever reason, they just don't have regular lifespans. They only die when they don't have enough food in their ecosystem to sustain them anymore. Like, they just die because they get too big.
Is that true?
I remember hearing something about... I know that's definitely the case for alligators. Like, you've seen how big... you've seen how big some modern-day alligators can get.
I see those big chunky ones on the golf course full of balls.
Yeah, they... I know for a fact that's the case with alligators. And I want to say that's the same for certain species of catfish.
I know that's the same for lobsters. Lobsters are immortal, or at least some are. But, so... We'll have to look that up later. But, yeah, we're in the boat, and he's telling us about, like, the nature and stuff. And then we get attacked by kind of this big, almost eel-like creature.
Yeah, I think it was like a lamprey.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She kept trying to describe it, and I was like, are you talking about a lamprey? And she was like, what's a lamprey? And then you showed her a picture of one, and she was like, that's exactly what I'm talking about, with the big teeth on them.
Oh, yeah. Karen didn't know what a lamprey looked like. I said, it's basically
she knew what it looked like, she just didn't know what it was called.
Yeah.
Because she was that's literally what it was, a giant lamprey.
I felt kind of proud because I knew something she didn't.
Because you're usually the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But, yeah, so we're fighting this lamprey. It's a decent fight. Some of us get knocked out of the boat, and but we're next to land, so we get up on land pretty quick.
I remember Carrick and the dog and you were fighting really hard, but we're only like level 2 at this level, so none of us are really big fighters.
I thought we were 3.
No, because level 3 is when I unlock a big part of my Warlock pact, and I didn't have access to any of that.
Huh, okay. Maybe we leveled up at the end of this, then.
We did. I remember at the end of the session we did level up. We just didn't...
I haven't even done it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kept trying to throw the paralysis potion from the beginning of the second session into this thing's mouth, and I kept failing.
Yeah, so we got the... Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You did do that a bunch, didn't you?
Yeah, and the thing is that... If you've ever seen a lamprey, their mouths are very tiny when they're closed. And so the way this thing would attack is you would have to... If I wanted a good chance of getting this potion in its mouth, I would have to wait, hold a throw action, and then throw it when this thing was in mid-attack. So that way I could get it when its mouth was widest. And for whatever reason, I don't think I rolled anything higher than a 12, which was not enough.
Yeah, so eventually we do slay this lamprey. It was actually a very interesting fight because there was, like, sometimes we were in water and sometimes we were on land, and that kind of mixed it up more than the usual fight.
And then after it went away, we learned the horrible truth that it was a baby.
Yeah, so apparently they're like giant ocean kaiju monsters.
They're kind of like salmon. They're born in freshwater swamps, but then when they reach a certain size, they swim out to the ocean.
Yeah, the babies are like, they grow up in the swamp feeding on the smaller things in the swamp, and then once they get too big for the swamp, they move out into the ocean, which is what our guide told us at the end, which was very interesting. And then we're kind of moving along. We're moving into the territory. We start to see bones hang in places and stuff in the trees. We see this big archway. The water turns red.
Here there be monsters.
Yeah. And we go into the entrance, and that's apparently where the Red King and all that stuff is. And then on that big, right before we enter, that's where the session ends.
Yep.
And we have no clue what happens next. No clue.
It's killing me. I must know.
Dying slow. Remember that song from the English version of Broly?
No, I don't watch Dragon Ball.
Oh, all right. But yeah, I really enjoyed that session.
It was uneventful in the words of Carrick and Karen, or Kami and Karen, but
I didn't think it was uneventful at all.
Well, in their words, we didn't really do anything as far as a main quest line is concerned, but I thought it was one of the most fun.
I loved
it. It was great. I mean, I thought it was fun.
I adored that session. I adore our group's dynamic. I adore Kabuto. I adore Karen's DMing because she has background in writing and theater, so her DM skills are top tier. Just top tier, right?
One thing that I think I really enjoy, and this is just a general D&D fact, is I love that all of our players, both in this session and our Avernus session, we all have some kind of real world expertise that we bring to the table. Like
with you, it's history.
Yeah, and also with Kami, it's also history. He's a history buff too.
He's also an English major, so.
Mm-hmm. Karen specializes in literature and theater, and then G, being the engineer, he always loves pointing out
physics.
Physics, yeah. Like Connor.
Oh yeah, like our last one. Connor tried to knock someone downstairs, and he was like, and he pushes him back this much. Does he fall down the stairs? And you said no. And every time you say no to one of his things,
well, no, he couldn't.
Why not?
Well, he literally couldn't fall down the stairs because he was already at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah. And then G was like, okay, well, here's a physics reason why if he was at the top, he probably wouldn't fall.
No, I remember what it was. Connor was wanting to do, like, he's using his Eldritch Blast, which has force damage on it.
Yeah, it pushes the guy back.
And he likes trying to push people into other objects to deal extra damage.
Which I would do, for sure.
Yeah, but it's not like he's pushing them into hazards. He's just pushing them against, like, solid walls, which wouldn't do any real damage. And he's like, why don't they do extra damage? And G is like, here, as a physics major, I will explain to you why this much damage would not do any severe harm to this person. And then there's you with your mortuary studies, where you can explain exactly what's going on with dead bodies in any situation.
Oh yeah, like every time we run into a dead body and I'm playing, I'm like, all right, what's the decomposition rate like? I need to know how long this guy's been dead. Is he still in rigor mortis? If not, it's likely been over 72 hours. And
Bruce Wayne.
I also have a background in theater, film, and writing, etc. I've had very interesting careers. I got called by a potential job because I want to work at a horse. I applied to a horse hospital because I actually have a lot of horse experience. I live with horses. I live in a stable where I belong. And they were like, your resume is very diverse. And I was like, yeah, it's weird, right? But also Keocat is about to be a doctor, and she also has background in theater as well. So yeah, we all bring heavy stuff to the table. It's really...
And I love it. It just makes it so much more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's very fun. Very, very fun. And hopefully one day we will resume this campaign. But until then, this is kind of the end. It's definitely not the end for Kabuto as a character, though. Even if this campaign never happens again, I'm taking him to another one.
And I don't know if I'll bring Tywin into another character because he's kind of niche for this setting.
Also because you're a forever DM.
Until someone decides to take over.
I think G wants to run something.
I'll definitely take a break and do a couple of one-offs if he's interested in doing that. But
well, you can be a character in Call of Cthulhu if you want. I still want to run that monthly one.
I'll have to be because there's no way I'm DMing that either or lore mastering.
I don't even want to be a player for that. I just want to run it. I want to be the forever DM for that, but I never really want to be the DM again for Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not as good with the fantasy stuff, I think. But well, even yeah. Anyways. That's kind of it for this episode, unless you have anything you want to talk about or tag on. You recently got Tasha's Cauldron of Everything or whatever?
Yes, and actually, at some point, once we get a little bit further into the Avernus campaign, I wouldn't mind doing a podcast just reviewing all the new stuff that came out with that.
Yeah, every time we go through a big book, we are going to review it. Eventually, we're going to sit down and go through the monster manual and all this stuff, and we're going to review full D&D books. Once we're done with Descendant to Avernus, we're going to sit down and review the campaign as a whole. Not review the way we played it, but review the way it's like written and etc.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited to use Tasha's Cauldron. It's one, aside from Eberron Rising from the Last War, it's the first D&D informative book, like the player tools book that fully outlines the Artificer class. It has a bunch of new subclasses for all the other classes, a bunch of new ways to play the game, and there's
Got that new fire druid thing.
There's an entire chapter dedicated to helping the DM do everything from setting up session 0 to getting the players hooked and just coming up with all kinds of story ideas. Great, I love it.
Very awesome. And we're also, I want to talk about Icewind Dale minis, because you bought a brick of them.
Yes, and normally we would do a YouTube video where I unbox those, but...
Couldn't wait, right? I was sick, right? And he was like, I'm not waiting on you.
I actually was sick at the time, too, because at the time when I purchased that, I had just started feeling the effects of a sinus infection. Don't worry, I was tested. It was not COVID-related.
Yeah, you and I both get sinus infections every single year. That's what I had too. So
occasionally I'll get lucky and it'll bypass me 1 year.
No, I get it like twice every year.
Yeah. So that we went ahead and opened that, and the ice. I love the minis that Dungeons and Dragons is coming out with this past year. They are just such high. They are so detailed and such high quality. I think one of my favorite pieces from the Icewind Dale is the Orca, because it combines both a animal miniature with a huge elemental effect, where the Orca...
Like a wave.
Yeah, so normally, if you see something like this, you would have an Orca piece that is separate from the water and they're just glued together.
But you can see the tail in the water.
The water plastic is translucent, and it's the whole Orca figure submerged in plastique.
And you got the chunky owlbear.
Yes, the owlbear.
The snowy owlbear.
He is an absolute unit.
He is a chunky, and he's sitting in such a cute pose too. You can't look at him and think menacing. He's just too precious.
But he is 3 times bigger than your average humanoid playable character.
He's gigantic, yes. We should get the Gallant Goblin thing for him.
And then we also got the Abominable Yeti.
Yeah, so now you have a Tyke, the regular Yeti from a while back, and the Abominable one. You said it was like a Pokemon evolution.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm mumbling. I'm turning my head to look at my shelf.
But yeah, the cool thing about the Icewind Dale set is every single miniature in it is usable in Icewind Dale, and that's not always the case for these Icons of the Realms things.
Yeah. Now, there are a few miniatures that they can be used in other sets, but yeah, every miniature that is in this, you can look, and it has either a stat block or bold print explaining how it's used in this setting.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just animals and stuff that could be used in really any campaign. And one thing, the bigger miniatures all have clear bases now. Icons of the Realms is trying to transition completely to clear bases so that you can see what's on the board underneath all the time.
And they've done away with the invisible ultra rare figures.
Yeah, they did away with those a little while ago. I'm glad they're gone.
I'll be honest, it always feels good to pull an ultra rare, but I always felt that the invisible minis was a lazy collector's tactic.
Yeah.
Because it's literally just an unpainted mini. Like, you could get the exact same thing at a much lower price if you just got the unpainted version of another miniature.
I've never pulled one, but you've pulled several. You pulled 2 in one brick at once, which should be impossible.
Please, this is the guy who pulled both.
You pulled the Red Abishai and Zariel out of a brick.
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard to do.
Don't ever question my power.
But those were the 2, because we actually did a video on that one. YouTube link in the description below to our channel. And
she literally flew out of the box.
At the beginning of the video, we were like, okay, we need a Red Abishai and Zariel, and everything else is whatever. And then we got it. We got them both. It was awesome. I remember her falling out of the box and we were like, oh my god, it's Zariel! Because her miniature is one of the most expensive Icons of the Realms.
It's also one of the most detailed and just insane. She's got these semi-translucent, demonic-looking wings. A lot of detail in her face and body. She's got this whip-like chain. Her clothing is very ornate. It's very impressive for a miniature that's only about 6 inches tall.
Yeah, sadly you didn't get any of the Frost Maiden forms, but...
I'll buy 1 or 2 of them separately.
Yeah.
My luck has to run out occasionally sometimes.
Usually you just kind of get a brick for whatever thing we're going to run. So hopefully that means we run Icewind Dale next, but we're actually going to vote on Waterdeep and Icewind Dale. Waterdeep Dragon Heist specifically.
Yeah.
But if we play Dragon Heist, we have all of the group. We've already informed them that if we do Dragon Heist, we're going straight into Mad Mage after.
Mm-hmm.
just so they know.
Because that's basically Dungeon of the Mad Mage is Waterdeep Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, so...
Yeah, and I actually explained the kind of Eberron, because Connor was like, are we ever going to play any like that Matt writes? And we were doing that, and I explained, I was like, well, I think he wants to get Eberron, and I explained what Eberron was and what a setting book was, where it like doesn't give you a story, they just give you the information to write your own story.
It's literally like the Eberron versus any other D&D campaign is like the difference between D&D miniatures and Warhammer miniatures. D&D, you get pre-painted miniatures that are great to look at and collect, but they're already made. You just use them. Warhammer, you get minis that you have to assemble, create yourself, and then customize, paint, assemble, which is much more tedious, but it makes for a more customizable experience.
Yeah, and somehow more expensive than the ones that already have all the work done.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But yeah, I told him, I remember that conversation because I was telling him about
How do you remember that conversation? I had it 2 days ago with him. You weren't there.
I thought we talked about this earlier. Like this was just a 3-way phone conversation that we were having where we were just talking about future D&D settings that we could potentially play. There was something I mentioned to Connor that he sounded really enthusiastic about. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. But
I don't know. He really loves D&D, and that's nice to see.
Mm-hmm. He's also a huge fan. He's also a huge fan of like the different punk fantasy settings, like Cyber, Steam, Diesel, all that. So when I told him that there's a D&D setting where there's literally modern technology mixed with magic, plus I remember what it was.
That's basically what my Dinosaur Island
it wasn't
was.
Eberron. I was telling him the basic plot of the Grim Hollow fan-made D&D setting.
Yeah.
I basically
he
told
is an edgelord, so...
Well, when I told him that Grim Hollow is it's a fan-made module that just released its own player handbook, it's Dungeons and Dragons in a Dark Souls-like grimdark world. And he thought, oh, that sounds awesome!
Yeah, all my friends love Dark Souls but me, because I've never played it.
I'm indifferent to Dark Souls. I really like Sekiro from Software. I played Demon Souls a long time ago, back when it first came out on the PS3. Absolutely hated it. I think it is what turned me away from Software's games. I played Demon Souls once, had no idea what it was, and of course I died 50 times in the starting world, and I just said, you know what? I don't enjoy this. I'm taking it back.
Yeah, those games are too hardcore for me. I'm very much a casual video gamer, but a hardcore tabletop gamer.
And then I also tried Dark Souls 3 years after I first played Demon Souls, and I kind of got into it. It wasn't something I was accustomed to, and it kicked my butt, obviously. But the artwork was great. I thought the character designs were awesome, and I gave it a shot. But I never got the hang of the level progression, because apparently I got to one point where I needed a specific item to unlock a certain area and had no idea where to go. So I was basically stuck. I did not feel like restarting the game and trying to do a second playthrough, so I just said, no, I don't like this.
Well, that's probably enough about video games. But I do want to mention before we go, I want to mention the concept of my Call of Cthulhu campaign that I'm trying to get together. I tried to get a couple of my friends from the before times to play with us. Like, Savannah, who I'm always posting stuff with on FB, and etc. Yeah, it's kind of getting hard to find people who can play, because we know this guy named Joe who we've played D&D online with a few times, but he's having some trouble right now. He joined the military, so he doesn't have a lot of time to play.
Was he the one that...
stole all the gold from the dinosaur people?
Yes!
Yeah, that was Joe. And then Jesse as well, but he almost never has weekends free. And he has like 1 weekend free a month, and he spends it with his girlfriend. Who can blame him, of course? So yeah, he's the one that you played the Rick and Morty one I wrote. Mm-hmm. I wrote a Rick and Morty one based in the Jelly Bean Kingdom that they went to.
And then there was Steven, who he already had half of it created years ago, but we essentially created the dynamic duo of Spork and Bork.
Yeah, that was fun. That's kind of a meme that we have.
I love goblinoid and orc related duos. I don't know what it is. But they're just so fun.
But yeah, the concept for my campaign is like a rural, modern-day town. So you'll have modern-day tech. Because I wanted to put a lot of genetic stuff in it. And I was like, I can't do that in the 20s.
I'm sensing a Resident Evil vibe.
Nope, it's kind of just normal cryptids.
I'll roll with it. I like cryptids too.
But some of them are created in very scientific ways and not very supernatural ways.
Connor might want to play that if it has any kind of SCP elements to it.
I told him there's a group in it that's a lot like SCP, but more malicious. So there's like a lot of government stuff going on, and there's a lot of... there's actually a short story I wrote a while back that featured on another podcast called In the Fog about these clockwork monsters, and I actually wrote that as a campaign. But it's like it's a rural town where the technology is modern, but not as modern as like everywhere else, you know. All the roads are dirt except in the center of town, and there's a lot of woods, and there's like it's got a sinister dark. The town is kind of a very peaceful place in the daytime. Like, you ever play Lakeview Valley, the serial killer parody of Stardew Valley?
You were telling me about it.
Like, if you go out at night in that game, there's like monsters running around everywhere. And it's the same way in this one. If you go out at night, there's monsters running around everywhere. So...
Dude, I love settings like that, where it's like the daylight brings hope and prosperity, but the second night falls, ooh, better lock your doors.
Yeah. So one person has to play a private investigator because the police call the private investigation firm to come help, and then he gets additional, or she, whoever plays the private investigator, gets additional help to solve the mystery and stuff. But that's going to be the kind of the concept of that. Just normal cryptids, no Lovecraftian stuff, especially since some of the names of those monsters are slurs.
As long as there's some semblance of a Wendigo and a Jersey Devil, I'll be totally happy. I think those are my two favorite ones.
I haven't written either of those into it yet.
Oh, well, I'll still be happy.
But those are stat blocks that I'm working on for my Call of Cthulhu kind of cryptid bestiary thing that I want to release, but I have to play test them first. I just haven't got any good story ideas. I kind of have a good story idea for the Wendigo, but something specific has to happen before that, so I can't write it until we've already started playing.
I gotcha.
So that's it for today's episode. It's been almost an hour. I think that's good. Also, I kind of need to go home because it's late.
Ooh, it is.
Yeah, it is late. But that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Well, some of those things you won't be able to do depending on what platform you're listening to this on. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I want you to know that the episodes go up far sooner on podcast streaming websites and etc. than they do on YouTube. They'll go up on YouTube at least a week late, sometimes a couple months late. I just kind of upload them willy-nilly on YouTube. But they come out every week, first thing in the morning on Saturdays. I think it's 6 a.m. on Saturdays every week. Check it out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, literally anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support. I'll see you all next time.